What is up, party people? How are you guys? I have a really exciting, fun, exclusive offer to share with you all. My podcast listeners are the first to hear about this new coaching program that I will be launching come April. So we are opening up a few, literally 3 early bird spots for my new one-on-one coaching program. These coaching programs will run anywhere from 3 to 6 months. You will get a weekly call with me, and this is at our early bird discounted price of $550 a month. So if this sounds like you and you are looking for more authentic types of content creation, self-development, personal awareness, any type of business development conversation, but maybe you haven't been able to put any action behind those steps, that's what my coaching program is going to be all about. I also will be incorporating a lot of the mindset practices that I talk about on the air with you all. However, it will be much more personalized into your daily routine. We will give you journal prompts, access to our course, which is an extra added bonus. I will give you those videos when it seems, appropriate throughout our coaching program, and you will be able to dive into each one of those. And then, of course, on our weekly calls, you will have access to answer and ask any of the questions that may come to mind. So if this offer sounds like you are a good fit, I want you to send me a DM on Instagram and start the DM with hashtag podcast exclusive and let me know that you are interested in inquiring on this early bird special. Come the end of April, this will be completely taken off the board with this lower pricing. So like I said, if sounds like you, if you love this show, one-on-one coaching is perfect. You also do not have to be an entrepreneur. You can either be transitioning into a next set of lifestyle, right? Or you may be in a job that you like, but you're not able to up level while you're working in that current job. So I will be able to help you get there. As you guys know, this is my jam. I want to support you all as much as I possibly can. And yeah, DM me hashtag podcast exclusive offer if you would like to get this early bird special and book a 3 to 6 month coaching package with me. Thank you guys. I can't wait to get into this week's episode. Hello, and welcome to the End in Mind podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin, the owner of Meraki Media Management. The End in Mind is a place where we come to share stories, tips, and strategies of many entrepreneurs, creatives, business owners, and just some people that aren't willing to live the traditional lifestyle. We talk about how to live outside of the box today and how to incorporate what really is important in your life to keep that end goal always in mind. Again, if you would like to reach out to me in any type of way, you can find me on Instagram at Meraki_media_management. And I hope to hear from you all soon. Thanks so much and enjoy our show. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for coming back to the End in Mind podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin, and I have an awesome guest with me here today. Her name is Kayla. We actually met through Instagram, so that's always fun. Thank you so much for coming on, Kayla.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you all.
Hey, I'm so glad. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself just so our listeners can understand, why we're having you on? And the End in Mind is really a place where I talk about my holistic journey, healing. I'm very open about my journey overall. So would love to learn more about you as well and just kind of tell us your little spiel.
Yeah. So I like to think of myself as a spiritual healer, a spiritual coach. I do so many different things from meditation, yoga to coaching programs, one-on-one groups. I work in different workshops. Like I do so many different things. The term soulpreneur, and I relate so much more with that than entrepreneur, because I'm like, yes, what I do is so for my soul. It's for not just mine, but everybody else around me in the collective. And I want every one of my clients to feel what they're doing, whether it's accounting or maybe being a yoga teacher or a spiritual coach like myself. I want them to feel that their soul is being guided to that, it's being nourished by that. So that soulpreneur term is like where I'm like, yes, that's what I am. I'm a soulpreneur. But this journey was not an easy one, that is for sure. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, where it took a long time for me to be comfortable where I'm at, whether it's because of family not supporting or just questioning what you're doing, or just you questioning yourself. That's even the biggest one, because it really doesn't, the outside noise doesn't matter. It's what you're saying to yourself. And for me, that was a big one where I was like, wow, will people really care what I have to say, or want to listen to me lead a meditation or something? And, I had to build that confidence. And once I was there, I was like, wow, I am here, I'm doing this, and this is so amazing. And I want everybody to do this. That's really where I'm at now, is I'm just kind of spreading this to as many as I can. I am doing right now, I'm working on building a couple different fun things that are to come in the next couple months. One is going to be a group just for women and spiritual women to really connect virtually and encourage one another. Because again, I go back to that talk of, maybe you don't have the support from your family or even close friends. And then I'm going to start really focusing more so on group coaching than one-on-one coaching. So I'm very excited for that.
Yay. Congratulations. I love that.
Thank you.
That's actually something that I'm currently working on too. I had started, my listeners are like, we've heard this, Caitlin, a million times, but I used to start my business with a group coaching setup. Like it was only Instagram coaching for business owners. And then when COVID hit, we really just had to pivot out of necessity to management. And I just kind of like found more and more clients through management. And I think it's also nice, which I'm sure you can share with us as well, like to have multiple streams of income in your business. So I'm sure you work with people one-on-one, and then you'll have this group program. So it will be so great. And I'm so happy for you as you're growing. And even like from the first time we talked, I feel like it's shifted so much,
Yes, it has. And multiple streams of income are like, I cannot push that enough for people, especially because you never know what's going to happen. Like, so I actually too, like I sell Kangen water machines. I don't know if you're familiar with that, oh my gosh, that's a whole other conversation, but in itself, but like I do that. And then I have my coaching. I also teach classes at yoga studios and Pilates studios and other things. So I have probably total about 5 different streams of income coming in. And I'm busy, like busy. And it's kind of stressful to try to organize and everything. So I definitely would push the multiple streams of income, but also push being organized in however way that works for you, because you will become very overwhelmed very quickly.
Yes, well said. It kind of going like off onto that stressful part of starting a business. This week on my page, I'm actually talking about how stressful it is, because I don't think enough entrepreneurs, and of course our listeners will get this a few weeks out, so you guys can scroll back in the Instagram feed for that information, but I don't think that people talk enough about how stressful it is. And also having that healing piece of becoming an entrepreneur was like a key factor for me, because it brings up so much trauma and different triggers, and you're kind of navigating them along the way. And if you don't have the tools, it's impossible to keep growing.
Yes. And I actually really love this topic, especially in a sense of like being in a spiritual business, people look at you like, oh, she's so zen. She never gets stressed. She's always happy. She's this, she's that. But it's not true. Like, and maybe it looks different because I know how to navigate it maybe in a healthier way, or, but it exists. The sadness still exists. The stress still exists. The work barriers still exist where I have to navigate through those and still show up for my clients and show up for that workshop or that class or whatever it is.
Kind of getting like to take us back to that stress topic, because I think that is so beneficial. And I would love if you're willing to share with us like what you do when you are stressed. You know, do you meditate or do you go for a walk? And how can our listeners start to understand? Because a lot of them are all aspiring entrepreneurs, and some of that stress is what maybe is holding them back, you know, from going all in.
Yeah. No, I'd love to share that. So I really like to look at, I guess, what I'm stressed about and where I'm at mentally. Is there other things going on? Is it just stress? Like I just do check in with my body, basically. Ask myself all the emotions I'm feeling. And then I try to really look at where I'm feeling them in my body. Is it my mind? Is it my heart? Is it, and from there, I like to either meditate, depending on what it is. If it's my mind, I always go into meditation because I'll always find my answer through that meditation. If it's my heart, then I go into movement because I know I need to flow and I need to maybe release something, if that makes sense. So I love yoga. I love just going on a walk. If you're not, even just dancing in my house is such a big release for me. And then going into dance, like that's from your sacral chakra as well, releasing that trauma, releasing anything. Because a lot of times maybe we're stressed out about something because we're triggered about something. Maybe we're just upset in general because we're triggered about something, whether, you know, maybe we were younger and our parents were on us all the time about, okay, like you have to do school, you have to do basketball, you have to do this, you have to do that, like on top of everything. So then we're like in this world now where we're like, okay, I have to be able to work, I have to be able to be social, I have to be able to also have a hobby and work out. And we're in this state of where we think we need so many different things going on in our life. So I try to kind of check in with myself, I guess. And I'm like, all right, am I doing this right now? Because I'm very prone to that. And then I'm like, all right, well, let's take a moment and just be still. Whether that looks like just reading a book, even if it's just watching TV. I mean, that's not always the healthiest, I'm not gonna lie, but it's honest, you know. And if you need to just sit there and be still and watch a TV show or two or binge watch a show, like do it if that's what's gonna reset you. And don't worry about hurting someone's feelings. That's the biggest thing. Like go tell your friend, like, hey, I'm not gonna make it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like that's the biggest thing. We're so worried all the time about other people's feelings. And to a point we should. I'm not saying go out and say you're a terrible person or like it's not, you know what I mean? That's not what I'm saying at all. But in terms of protecting your energy and yourself, like you have to be okay with telling people no and recognizing where you're at.
Totally. I love that you said that, because a lot of the conversations that I have on here is about like perfectionism and trying to keep up, you know, I guess like a reputation that we have for ourselves. Like, I don't want to be the flake of a friend, or I don't want to be, you know, that person. And it's like, well, sometimes we have to be that person.
Exactly. I actually have like, and it's, I mean, it sounds terrible, but people are always like, Kayla's flighty, Kayla's this. And I'm like, you know what? If that's how you want to perceive it, that is okay. But I'm protecting my boundaries and I'm protecting my energy, and I'm happy because of that. So if you see me as flighty, I see me as happy.
Yeah. So funny, isn't it? Like, it really is all perception. And I feel the way, like, I even think starting a business, people look at me differently now, you know, whether it's triggering for them in their own way, which most of the time is what it comes down to. It's all about themselves. Like my mom used to say to me when I'm younger, but it's so true, you know, it actually is all a reflection. Like our reality is a reflection of ourselves, you know, how we see things. And I love that you said that, because I think that that is a key piece to becoming an entrepreneur. Like you're not going to be able to make everyone else happy, you know?
Exactly. And then that again just all circles back to you have to do this for you. And it doesn't matter what everyone else is saying, it's what you're saying to yourself. So even if it's your dad or your mom or the person you look up most to, if you in your heart feel like this is what I'm meant to do and I have to do this, you do it and you won't regret it. And honestly, you might lose some friendships, some relationships. It's going to happen. It's the inevitable, honestly, of doing something like this. Or you are going to lose a lot, but you gain so much from it as well.
That's so well said. Actually, a podcast I was doing yesterday, which will come out before our podcast, we were talking exactly about that. And she has like the same outlook. We were talking about our families, and she was telling like us, her aunt was very much so like job security, like what the hell are you doing, you know? And to us in this world, like when you enter into this space, and I'm sure our listeners can definitely understand this too. It's almost like a whole different world opens up. Like I will even say to people when I'm conversing with them, like, well, in my work world, like that's not even a question. Like we don't talk about that. We're not focused on job security, you know, we're focused on something like changing the world, you know, like a lot of us
bigger. Yeah,
like look at our lives like that. And that is really where I feel like the drive comes in too. And I would love to hear more about like when that shift in your life happened and, you know, what that kind of looked like, because I know for me, it was very different, you know?
Yeah. I love this question. I feel like, I guess we'll start really with I, from a young age, had this calling. Like I felt in every bit of me. I was talking to spirit at a young age. I was in full communication with my angels and my spirit guides. And I knew it. Like, I don't even know how to explain it or express it, but I knew it. And I knew that I was not supposed to be here to be an accountant or to be a doctor, which we need those professions. Don't get me wrong. I could never do those.
Yeah.
And but I knew I was here for something so much bigger and something to really change the world.
Yeah.
And I actually, as a young kid, I had a spirit guide come to me and tell me like, Kayla, you're going to do something big. You're going to do something big. And I didn't know what that meant. And I was like, okay, cool. Like what? I'm going to build a house, or like, you know, like my small brain was like thinking, you know, maybe I'll have a garden, or like, I was like, this big thing, like, what is this? And as I got older and older, and I actually went to art school because I thought, you know, I love being creative, and like, that's my big thing, is being creative, and that's what I have to offer the world. And as I went through that, it was very challenging. It was very unaligned. And then I got a really great job in interior design and continued just to like be incredibly unhappy. And I fell into drinking a lot and partying a lot and just these really, really unhealthy behaviors. And as much as like I loved the creative aspect, it wasn't fueling my soul. And like as a soulpreneur, I have to fuel my soul. So I started teaching yoga, and that's where it all really started. And through that, I got into energy healing, and then just really a lot of self-study and a lot of just coaching programs for myself and growing within myself. And I realized, you know, this is what I need to do. And I had so many downloads and just conversations with spirit and my guides and everybody. And I learned I had no support whatsoever from family, from friends, or anything at first. And it was very like, it was lonely. A lot of people don't talk about that part. It's very lonely at first, and you have to overcome that. And I think, you know, I found community in other places, but even in those places, they still didn't fully understand. And eventually I came to a space where, you know, my family, some can understand and accept, but not fully encourage. But and they still, like, again, like you said, the job security and all of that, it's just so. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, sometimes I'm like, you know, it'd be so much easier to take it where I can get my 401k and health benefits and whatever else. But I'm like, that's not why we're here. That's not what the human experience is about. And I know that I'm supposed to be a model for somebody else so that they can fully express their human experience and not be stuck behind a desk if that's not what they want, or, you know, they can fully express who they are. And that's so important.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what a powerful story. And I really resonate, like my family recently has started to ask questions. Like this is 3 years in, like it's like, what? Like you guys didn't care before, it's like,
Yes.
especially when they start to see the success, I think that's when it shifts. And they're all like,
Yes.
oh, what are you doing? Like, what is that? And then we're
Yes.
trying to explain it to them. But again, like that society creates this reality that we think we should have. And
Yes.
when we go against the grain, it's not always taken well,
I would say it's never taken well. I can't, I don't think I've ever talked to one person that's like, they were full support, they were clapping me on and this and that, which is so sad. And that's another reason why I really do want to create this community, is that people can have that place to go to when they don't have anyone else, and it's less lonely. And I really think people will be more successful because they'll beat that first little part of loneliness in the journey, so then they can just see the abundance right away. And I don't necessarily mean abundance and financial means, but this work really, truly, it charges you energetically in a way nothing else can, because there's just so many different arms to it that are just so beautiful.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's great to hear too. Cause I was so lonely in the beginning, especially like when you're working from home. Like now my boyfriend works from home too. So it's kind of nice. Like we'll like co-mingle or like have a conversation throughout the day.
Yeah.
But like before it was just me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like starting this business out of my mom's basement. Everybody's gone all day until 5 p.m. If I'm lucky, they're home at 5. And then they would come home and I'm like word vomiting all over them because I'm so lonely. And then that's, I think, when the spiral would start for me, because I would be alone and just kind of like thinking about all of these things and how am I going to make this work? And, it's like this hill, this mountain that you're climbing. And unless you have your tribe, it's really almost impossible.
And I am a big believer in how the universe brings, or source or God or whoever you refer to it, they bring everything you need to you. Yeah. And that's where I always kind of try to remember with stress also, like, this might be stressful now, but they're going to bring me a solution. They're going to bring me my happiness, and this is going to go away. I'm not going to feel the stress anymore. It's only temporary. It's not forever. And there's so many times when you're in that state of loneliness in the beginning that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm lonely. I'm stressed. This is work that's supposed to bring me happiness and energy and everything, and I'm confused.
Yeah.
But I just hope anyone listening that's in this state knows that there is light at the end of the tunnel sooner than later. And it's a roller coaster. It comes in waves, it comes and goes. But
it does. And I think that that's also the lesson in life is like that, like even if you have a full-time job, like my boyfriend's transitioning to a new job now, he's in like training. It's overwhelming. Like he's stressed, he's handling it so well, but it's a lot. You're learning new things, and that's just life, And when I started this business, I'm sure you would, you can tell me if you relate to this, but it was like, it was a literal reflection of myself. And every day when I would get up, I had to make a decision if I'm going to look at the reflection or if I'm going to bury my head deeper in the sand, And I did, honestly.
Oh my gosh. How many times? I can't even tell you how many times I was like, I'm going to go deeper. I am not coming out. But I get that. And again, like, that is the human experience. That is why we're here. And it's just remembering that, like, we are not this all-powerful being that can just ignore all these problems and nothing's ever going to happen to us, no matter how much you meditate, no matter, like you can reach the top of the mountain, you're still going to have problems and you're still going to have stress. But it's just honoring yourself in those moments is so important. And realizing like, maybe this is a time for healing. Maybe this is a time to take a step back for a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple months, whatever you need to heal and to create. And that's when you're going to come up with something so beautiful and so powerful because you took that time to heal yourself.
Oh, I love that. That's actually, I would love to get deeper into that because about rest, I'm sure you're the same way. It's like when you start a business, you're like, more time I put in, more money I'm going to make, more production.
The hustle culture.
Totally. I hate the hustle culture. I'm like literally anti-hustle culture. But before, like I was coming from this masculine side of business because that's who I was surrounding myself with.
Right.
And it tells you to completely ignore your body, completely ignore everything that you're feeling and just keep going. And it's like, that's so opposite of who I am. Like even from a young kid, I was the same way, like out in nature with like the fairies and like going through that in my life, like I was never like that my whole life. I actually didn't really even learn how to read until I was like in 3rd grade because I just enjoyed life, like I didn't like school. It didn't make sense to me.
And that's okay.
Right? Like, and it's like society was putting me in this box at that time and it really changed who I was. And I was resentful at times. Like it made me angry that I couldn't just be me. And that was a huge part of me starting this podcast too. I was like, why are we not talking about the untraditional lifestyle more? Like that's like a part of our slogan. Like that's the way we should all be living life. And each untraditional way for each person is different, but it probably is against the grain, So
100%.
Yeah.
Our society thrives off hustle culture, side gigs, whatever else. I'm sure there's some other arm of this will pop up eventually, but there's so much I can say about this.
Good.
I don't even know where to start. I guess I love so much that you mentioned about you being a kid and you didn't even learn to read till 3rd grade and you're just within yourself so much and enjoying and happy and thriving. Like that right there is what we need to channel. And I always like to say, like, go back to your inner child. What was she like, or he, or they? What were they like? And ask yourself, like, what would they think of you now? Would they be okay with you now? And that's something I always really love to go back to because sometimes inner child Kayla would not be happy with her and the choices that she made. And what she would want me to do is be within my body and be happy and flow. And, maybe one day that flow brings me to creating a group, but maybe another day it brings me back to interior design. Who knows? But I just like to stay so open and within myself, and I just follow my intuition. And every time it's going to bring you what you need and what you want. Even when you feel so scared and so lost, like that intuitive part and being within your body is going to bring you back and to where you need to be and bring you what you need. I think too, you mentioned that masculine and that feminine. So many of us, especially women, are in that masculine energy because we think, obviously that's a whole other conversation. There's so much in the workplace that's so wrong for women. So they think they have to be in this strong body where they're like, I can be like the man, I can be like this and do this and whatever. But it's like, yes, to a certain extent, but you also have to honor your femininity and you have to honor that feminine energy. And that's where the good, juicy, amazing things about life are going to come from, is your feminine energy.
Totally. Oh my gosh. I love that you said that. Cause I think men, like when we're talking about masculine and feminine, just kind of like bridge this for our listeners too. men also have a lot of feminine energy, but
Yes.
ignored, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
that's something that Sean and I explored like through our holistic journey. It's like he's gotten more creative, or like, yeah, he loves to golf, but I was like, just trust your body. Like, you don't have to force yourself to be like these Instagram golfers, you know. He's like straight back, like
Right.
butt in. I'm like, no, just let your body flow. Like then you'll have the best swing of your life, you know.
Yes.
But it's all about intuition, and that, like, to me, intuition is very feminine, you know, like the feminine side
Mm-hmm.
of the masculine and feminine part of all of us. um,
Mm-hmm.
and that really is what brings you back and grounds you. It's like when you think of Mother Earth, like there's a reason why we call her Mother Earth, you know. Like it's more of that
Yes.
feminine aspect, you know. So I love that you kind of walked us through that too, because
Mm-hmm.
if we make that distinction, sometimes it can seem, you know, inappropriate or offensive, but we all have that within
We
us.
all have it. Yes. And it's important to find that balance and also understand, where do you lie more dominantly. Like for me, my feminine side is so much more dominant than my masculine. So I really try to honor that side a lot more. But for a woman, it could be the masculine side is more dominant, and that's beautiful too. And it's just, and it has nothing, I want to reiterate too, like the feminine energy and the masculine energy has nothing to do with gender. It has nothing to do with that. Like it's an energy. And it's just, it's, again, we go back to the intuition. It's following your intuition on which side maybe you resonate more with, and then honoring that.
Yeah. And really, I love how you shared to the rest. Like, that's really where you're going to find this inner voice. I was going so fast, like constantly, you know, next thing,
Mm-hmm.
next goal, next income level, the whole thing, hiring new people. It was so fast. And then I kind of turned around and I'm like, wait, who the hell am I? Like, it was like full blown imposter syndrome, because I never stopped for a moment to be like, wow, I built that, you know. But like I really liked
Yes.
myself maybe when I built that. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
operating from this fast paced energy, and I'm actually a really slow person. I've realized, like,
Yeah.
I enjoy slow mornings. Like I enjoy, you know, a coffee outside, or like a walk with my puppy. Like I like that, and I don't need to be sprinting on the wall, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Like I love to
Yes.
slow down. And in those slow moments, like, I've connected with my intuition, and I would love to hear, like, with your clients, is that something that you explore through rest, and how do you explain it to them? Because I'm sure at times they're operating at that high level, you know.
All the time, all the time. And it's because, you know, it's society. That's what we are born into. That's what we're told to do. That's what we think is right. And we think if we slow down and take rest, that we're doing something wrong, and we have this guilt, this internal guilt about it. So what I always like to refer back to is, look at nature. Look at a tree, look at flowers, look at everything around you. Even if we don't want to go to nature, but we want to go into like a building you're sitting in, the tree is very like, okay, it goes through periods just like anyone. It has a cycle. It has, the tree grows really big and it takes years and years to get that big, thick trunk. Like beyond what we can even imagine. But also the tree grows leaves, and it grows all these different limbs, and there's so many different parts of this tree. I like to think about it too, like the tree will give its energy to the leaves to grow and the limbs to grow, but it also knows when to rest, and then the leaves die so that the tree can survive. So it takes that time to rest so it can get stronger and stronger. So like we see it all the time in nature,
Yeah.
and we are part of nature. So why can't we do that too? Why can't we have a time of just rest? I have taken periods of rest that have lasted me 3-4 months, and I'm not working. I'm just creating. I'm just, you know, seeing where my intuition guides me. And I have created some of the most beautiful moments because I have taken that time and created my success because of those moments. We get scared, you know, we get scared that, like, okay, if I stop, everything else is going to fall apart. My business is going to fall apart. My relationship is going to fall apart. But really, it's all just going to get stronger, just like the tree. The tree stops, and it comes back stronger in the spring or summer, whenever it is. And we just have to remember that. And we have to stop listening to society. And also, like, it goes to manifesting too. Like, there's so many different aspects of this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that. I love the tree analogy. I'm like, that's going to be the name of our episode. We're going to say, like, I'm thinking like the tree equals success, like the tree analogy for success, or something. Because that's like perfect.
Yeah, be like a tree. Be like a tree.
Yeah, the 3 months that you've taken off. Like, can you tell us more about that and like what that experience was like? Because I'm to hear more about that too.
Yes, I would love to explain that. So I go through periods, I guess, where I will take, and this isn't just one time I've done this. I've done it a few times. Maybe it wasn't for the extent of 3 months, but like a couple weeks or here and there. I mean, it's something that definitely looks scary to a lot of people for sure, just because you're like, how do you support yourself financially? How do you continue to grow your business? How do you maintain clientele? Like, it's definitely not something for, everybody maybe, but it works for me. And what I really did was I almost kind of prepared for it. Like, you intuitively, I could feel like, okay, I know I'm going to have a period of rest coming up soon. Like, I feel it in my body. I'm feeling a little bit more drained. So a lot of the times we set ourselves up for failure when we're thinking that direction. So if you're trying to go into a rest period, don't just rely on manifesting, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't just rely on that. Yes, I did a little bit, in the sense that, like, I know, and I asked for the universe to give me what's going to be right and to show me what's going to be good for me to do, if that makes sense. And I really took this time to just prep. Basically, like, the prep period is really important. So I made sure, at the end of the day, like, I am a human and we have to live a human experience, which comes with bills and responsibilities. So I made sure that was all covered for 3 months. I made sure that, like, if I had grocery expenses and things like that, that was covered for all that time. I lived very minimally, because in that moment of healing, you don't need a lot. Like, it's not a time to go shopping and to, like, give into, like, that kind of like greed culture too, where you're just like, I want, and I need. It's a time to just release, and that's what you do. And you don't need a lot of money in that period of time, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is great information. Like, I feel like it's a perfect actual, like, almost stopping point, because I want our listeners to digest this so that they start to understand, that they can do this. And, for myself, I did the same thing. Like, I actually took a trip to Europe, but we budgeted for everything and we had quit our jobs at that time. So there was no money coming in, we weren't buying a bunch of knickknacks or anything. Like, we're just traveling and exploring ourselves and thinking about the life that we want. And I think that is such great advice, that you can take a period of rest, even though you think that you can't. You absolutely can, and we deserve that rest, to reflect.
Yeah, life is about choices, and you can make that choice, and it's okay. But, like, I did have to, sure, like, maybe in those moments too, I might have wanted something I couldn't buy myself, but again, those are not important. None of that is important. And I got to honor who I was in that moment, in that 3 months, and just rest and grow, and everything was so beautiful. It's a beautiful experience. And if anyone ever feels called to that, I really, really encourage them to do it, because so much will come out of it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love this. Thank you so much, Kayla, for coming on. And can you tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you or connect with you about your program? And, I think this program is perfect for you guys if you're feeling called to it, especially with the rest portion, because Kayla will be able to guide you through that. And even though it seems scary, she'll be there as a soundboard, and you'll also be doing it with a bunch of other amazing women that will be able to explain, this is how we're making this shift,
Yeah, so you can Mainly, I am on Instagram. It's Heal with Kayla. And I also have a link to my website on the Instagram, and you can get me through my website. I have all my contact information there, or just Mandy on Instagram, and let's chat.
Yay, I love it. And we'll have all of her information linked below as well. So if you missed her Instagram handle or anything, we'll have the link below so you can get in touch with her. And of course, we'll have her bio as well and everything else that you may need to learn about. Kayla, thank you so much for coming on, Kayla. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And I'll stay connected with you. We will catch up soon. I hope you have a great rest of your day and enjoy Ohio. This is so fun.
Thank you. Yeah, so fun. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so much for listening to The End in Mind. I would like to remind you all, if you haven't yet reached out to me on Instagram, we are at Meraki_media_management. It will be in our show notes as well. If you would like to reach out to me, we always offer free coaching through Instagram based around our Instagram training and our business Instagram practices. If you need any type of support, please do not hesitate to reach out to me there. And we also offer several different types of consulting and training packages if you're looking for a little bit more in-depth tips. So thank you all for listening in, and of course, I want you all to keep the end in mind as you continue with your day and or work week. Have a great week, and I will see you all next time.